Alright, real quick, time for the 9th takeover devlog, which this is the first takeover devlog in like nearly 2 years. It has been a while. This game was on hiatus a long time. I occasionally went in to tweak some things, but this is the first major, update to the game in a very long time. Now, nothing you're going to see in this video is present in the public version of the game, but most of this stuff should be in the private beta version. If you want access to that, link to the Discord in the description. But yeah, you may notice that Boglet is missing from the title screen and the character select screen. I have temporarily retired Boglet to completely rework the character. While I think his gimmick's neat, it's kind of incredibly awkward, and he is the most imbalanced character in the game in several different ways. So yeah, I might replace him with a 6th character and then save Boglet for a post-launch update. We'll see. But for the time being, yeah, Boglet's not in the game. Another thing that I want to show off is that the hub area now has an Ostard in it. Yeah, that's it. The hub, I'm going to add a couple other NPCs to the hub area. Right now, prior to this update, it was just Corpse here, which he's still down here. He's not really an NPC. He's more so a ragdoll. You can't hit Ostard, but you can hit Corpse. Ostard is going to be how you access the game's Black Book, or Bestiary, whatever you want to call it. It's currently not implemented, but yeah, this floor of the fort area is where you will access the game's Bestiary. In terms of the other characters that were planned to be in the original takeover but aren't in this one, Raph is mentioned in Stripe's description, and he'll also be added to the hub area. The other two, Chaos Sentinel and Forest will also be in the hub area, and Chaos Sentinel being a character that I did not create, I'd have to contact DGM about that, and I might do that. We shall see. We shall see. I feel like Chaos Sentinel would make sense as a post-launch character. Now, jumping into the 6th stage, which is the Brawl Hall. The Brawl Hall's interesting because I made the point to not add any mini-bosses to Takeover just because the levels are generally pretty short. The idea with Takeover is that it would have 10 levels, but each level would be shorter than in like Rise 2 or whatever. And for the most part, yeah, no mini-bosses in Takeover. But the Brawl Hall is the major exception to it because this is a stage that is entirely mini-bosses. So the first one up is Clobber Bob, which he has 2 moves. He's got this spin thing that you have to jump over, and then he's got a basic attack. Now he's pretty easy. All of the mini-bosses here are incredibly simple and incredibly easy. Stage 6 is just a fun gimmick level. Now in the background, those walls dissipate whenever the mini-boss in the center is dead. But those enemies in the background are the Gruntus, which has been in several games at this point, and the Crayman, which is from Rise 2. I'm probably going to replace some of these with other types of returning enemies and cameo characters and stuff, because I think that's a fun idea. But yeah, for the most part, throughout this level, it is just those 2. Now we move on to the second mini-boss, which are Challenger Grinskog and Gorksork. They both just have a basic attack and also can jump. So yeah, they're very simple. And if you're playing as Usurper or Bizok with the, splash damage moves, they're very easy to kill. But yeah, Bizok is probably the character that has the easiest time with this level. And Stripe, because Stripe can grab most of these enemies. Don't play as Screenor for this stage. Don't play as Screenor in general. Screenor he's not as imbalanced as Boglet is, which is why he's still in the game, but he definitely needs some sort of buff because he's not particularly good in this level or the next one. But here we have 40 Bites, stationary boss that just does this fireball attack. Probably my least favorite boss in the game, but he's just, a gimmick fight, so it's kind of whatever. And finally, we have the actual main boss of the stage, which is as of now the only returning boss in Takeover from any previous game. It is Nemesis from Rise 2. Now he's got a couple moves. Firstly, he's got a basic attack, which he's not doing. There it is. The timer for the basic attack is very, very long, but it gets shorter the more damage you do to him. So the lower his health is, the faster the basic attack comes out. His other moves are that big main attack, which you have to jump or be far enough away from, the main throw attack, where he throws the fireball, and once his health gets low enough, he'll do the hand attack and summon the pillar, just like in Rise 2. Now, one more thing I want to show about the Nemesis fight before I, continue is that big dude in the back there is called Gruckle. Whenever you get hit, he does a reaction, and whenever Nemesis is knocked, he has a different reaction animation, which is neat, I guess. But yeah, overall Nemesis is mechanically one of the more complicated bosses in the games. In this game, I don't know if he's better than his Rise 2 incarnation, but Takeover in general has better feeling combat than Rise 2, so the fight is more fun. But yeah, as Nemesis' health gets lower, his attacks happen more frequently, and some of his projectiles get faster. And that pillar move, where, he sticks out the hand in his chest and shoots the pillar up, only happens when his health gets under, like, 60%, I believe. Something around that range. He can't do it at full health. But yeah, that is Stage 6. Now, one thing about the levels in Takeover, the second half of the game, is that levels 6, 7, 8, and 9 can be done in any order. And once you beat all 4 of those stages, Stage 10 will open up. Stages 8 and 9 are not present yet, nor is Stage 10, but Stage 7 very much is. So this is Doc Flu's Fields, which is the 7th level of Takeover. These here are called blurps. They only attack you when you get close enough to them. They're some of the tankier enemies in the game, but yeah. Some of them do move, though. And the ones in this big open area move, which is fun. I think they're a fun inclusion. I originally intended them to also have the ability to shoot a projectile that lobs out of their mouth. I decided not to implement that in the game because it's very annoying. But yeah. Ooh. Now these are the Gratis. They have the most health of any non-boss enemy. And once you get far enough away from them, they throw their pitchfork like that. They also have the highest knockback resistance of any non-boss enemy. But yeah. These here are the Baki. They lay eggs. They're like weird puppet chicken things. They lay eggs. They're not enemies. You can't damage them, at all. They don't die. They're just stage hazards, like the Bidis in Stage 4 are. But yeah, there they are. Okay, once you get in this room, a big like platform of fire is going to start rising, and it'll do a frick ton of damage to you if you touch it. So don't do that. It's best to just get to the end, and if it touches enemies, it will deal damage to them and kill them as well. So yeah, not like it matters that it does that, but it does do that. And we have reached the boss. Now, I would recommend touching this checkpoint before getting up there, not only to refill your health, but if you don't touch it, it'll become inaccessible if you jump. Not only because you can't go back through that platform, but it deletes itself whenever the boss becomes active. So this is Doc Flu, which is probably the hardest boss in the whole game, and that's the Doc Flu fight. Anyway, time for the real, true fight. So Doc Flu is going to just fly back and forth here and do an attack whenever she reaches either side of the arena. During that phase where she's in the middle is when you can hit her, and whenever she gets to one of the edges, she'll do one of the projectile attacks. So far, Doc Flu has been doing nothing but the fire platform spam. There we go, there's a different one. There's the boulder attack, which bounces, and then there's like a regular, you know, tracking projectile thing, which is probably the easiest projectile that the boss has to avoid. There it is. Now, Usurper's slam attack can hit Doc Flu in the air if you time it properly, but there are some attacks that are basically useless against this boss. I'll talk about those more in a minute. Yeah, this isn't a particularly difficult boss. It's a fun one, though. I think it's one of the better bosses in Takeover, so far, at least. So Screenor is probably the worst character to use against Doc Flu because his projectile attack literally cannot hit her, and since his jump stat is the lowest in the game, it means that jumping over the fire at the bottom is the most difficult with Screenor. Plus the angle of his aerial basic makes it a lot more difficult, you know, to hit the boss than pretty much any other basic in the game. The dash is the only way you're going to reliably hit Doc Flu. So there's that, I guess. And it doesn't, and because it's, you know, going through the boss like that, it's gonna do very little damage. He also has the lowest health in the entire game, so yeah, don't use Screenor against this boss at all. Now, Faux Stripe's interesting, because, you know, his grab can't hit this boss at all. That happens, you know, on the ground. And even if it could connect with the boss is immune to being grabbed. But his secondary special is the best attack to use against this boss in the entire game. It is upward and diagonal and hits several times. So yeah, it is the singular best attack to hit this boss with in the entire game. And his basic, his aerial basic, is also pretty good against this boss. So Faux Stripes, probably the best character against this boss, which makes sense. You know, he's the DPS character. But yeah, that is probably the easiest boss in the entire game that Faux Stripe has to fight for that reason. One more thing I want to talk about before, you know, I go to the outro section and discuss, you know, future plans of takeovers. The Kravaskus fight has been updated slightly, not very much, but I want to show this off because I think it's neat. Phase 1 is basically the same. There haven't really been any alterations to it. It's still probably the most annoying encounter in the game, but it certainly still exists. Phase 2 has changed a bit, though. Firstly, a lot less health, as you can see, but not really. You'll see in a second what I'm talking about. So once you deplete the health bar, Kravaskus will jump to the background and start shooting fireballs at the player, like so. And once he is shooting about 15 to 20 of these, I forget the exact number because it has been a bit since I've implemented this, he'll jump back to the background and the fight will resume. So in total, between the two health bars Phase 2 has, he has the same amount of health that he used to. It's just that it's disrupted by that background projectile attack thing. Okay, so outro stuff. The next stage is going to be ice-themed, which it's not going to have ice physics because those are annoying, but it will be ice-themed. And Stage 9 is, which, you know, after the ice one, Stage 9 is the stage that is, I don't really have any plans for it. The original idea for it was that stages 6, 7, and 8 were going to be the ones that were different, and then Stage 9 and 10 were going to be like the dual stage finale thing, both, you know, underworld death stuff, I guess, but now the current plan is just have Stage 10 be that, and Stage 9 be a different thing like the previous 3 levels are. I don't really know what Stage 9 will be, but it will be something along those lines. But yeah, Stage 8 will be ice-themed. I have a pretty, you know, I have a decent idea of what I want Stage 8 to look like. But yeah, that's where Takeover is. Again, as for the 6th playable character, that may or may not be added. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I'm thinking about just reworking Boglet to have the same, you know, mechanical theme that he has, you know, where he's a little goblin and a robot thing, to have that exact same theming, but a very different moveset. He's kind of terrible as is. But yeah, that's where Takeover is right now. Woo.